Hi there. So first of all, again, a huge thank you to everyone who watched the latest episode and commented, and it's been so much fun to read your comments and reply to them and to have this conversation with you. And there was a comment that kept coming back a couple of times, and that was regarding the rigging screws that I showed in the previous episode. And I just want to emphasize that the rigging screw setup that I showed was temporary, and that I do address it in later episodes, and it's going to happen sort of step by step as we go along. And so, with that being said, without further ado, here is the next part of the bowsprit / rig modification video, and I look forward to reading your thoughts about it below. I'll see you soon. Well, today is hopefully going to be a good day, because not only has the weather improved, but the stainless shop guy just called and the new bobstay attachment fitting is done. So we're off to pick that up in a little bit, but before I do, I want to take this mock-up that I made of the new attachment and I want to drill out a hole in the bow and fit that in there so I can get the length of the new bobstay as well, and then we can swing by the riggers and get that made up. But in order to drill the hole out, I can't use the drill driver because it is too long, so I got this angle adapter for my Dremel, and I hope that this is going to do the trick. I can only fit a very small drill bit on here, but I hope that it's going to be enough that it's going to just poke through the hull. And so we're going to try that now and see how that works out. My name is Andy, and this is Marella, a 1977 30-foot Albin Ballad sailboat that I own and take care of together with my wife Lena and our 2 children. If you like this video, please subscribe to the channel and leave a comment down below and tell me what you thought, because I love to read and reply to all of them. Thank you very much. Well, I've moved Marella as close as I can get her to the jetty, and I think that this is going to be fine. Now I just need to measure out exactly where to drill, and then we'll give it a go. Yeah, fingers crossed. Yeah, I think right there is about where I want it, yes. Looks okay. Nope, that didn't work at all. That drill bit was way too short, so I had to go and get a longer one. Well, that was a few hours of running around town doing some errands, but we picked up the new bobstay attachment fitting, so that is now ready to get put on the boat. I picked up a longer drill bit so that we can drill through the bow entirely. And the new bobstay is also ready to get mounted. But first I'm going to get back to drilling out those holes. And then I need to get inside the boat and prepare the bow for reinforcing, which is going to require a lot of sanding and then epoxy and glasswork. So yeah, I'm not looking forward to it, but it's got to be done. So let's start with trying to drill out those holes completely. Well, hopefully this time I'll be able to drill all the way through. This drill bit is 10 centimeters long, so it should be enough. Well, we're through. The hole is not perfectly centered, but it is very close. So I think this is definitely good enough. And now I'm going to drill out from the inside with a slightly bigger drill bit. And then once I have everything centered, I can drill it out to the full 10 millimeters. And then we're going to line up the bobstay attachment fitting and drill the second hole. And then I can start working on the reinforcement in here. Well, that's a big hole in the bow of our boat. I really hope I know what I'm doing. Well, that is actually super successful. Look at that. It's perfectly centered. What's this? Somebody's hair. Oh no. Oh, it's my hair. Right, that's what hurt before. This is now 2 centimeters wide. So we're gonna come down with this. Make a little platform that it can sit on. So that's going to go from here. All the way down here. Well, the bobstay attachment is in place, and I've sanded away part of the stem here to make a flat surface for it to sit on. Not too much, just a 1/4 of an inch or so. Still need to reinforce the inside, obviously, and I do need to cover the outside with epoxy and prep this surface properly for the environment. But I think with 3 months to go this season, I'm going to just slap on Sikaflex on there, and we'll deal with it after the season is over, and prep the surface properly. I'm not worried about it right now. I'm going to clean it up and make it look decent, and then we'll sort it once the boat is back on the hard. Because working with this in the water is not recommended. But anyway, I still need to take this off and sort out bed it down with Sikaflex and stuff. But just to see what it's going to look like, I want to put the new bobstay on there, and I need to drill out these holes to the right size as well. So let's get going on that, I think.
Calculating the required size of bobstay and fittings seems a bit of a dark art. The rule of thumb seems to be to take the largest shroud size plus 1. All shrouds and stays on Marella are 6mm, so I made the bobstay out of 8mm 19-strand stainless wire, and the turnbuckle or rigging screw is a 1/2 inch compared to 7/16 for the rest of the rig. In terms of braking loads, the bobstay has about twice the strength of the headstay, and for our purposes I believe that should suffice.
Well, it's the next day, and Lena and me were down here until pretty late last night working on getting the new bobstay attachment in place and test fitting the new bobstay, and that worked out really well. So today we came back down here and took it off again, and now I'm working on the reinforcement in this area. As you can see, there is no longer any foam-backed vinyl on these walls, and that is because that just came crashing down when I took this bulkhead out, and yeah, it left a layer of dust and old foam plastic that is really nasty and probably not very good for your health. It just turns into a fine dust which you breathe in, and it's probably full of mold and crap. So I want to get going on sanding all of this down and cleaning it out, and then after the season I'm going to work on building up something new here. Yeah, I've been thinking about it for a few years, and it's not the most ideal time right now because there's so much else happening, but it really has to happen because this is just it's not workable anymore. That old vinyl has to go, and it has to go all over the boat. I've already removed it in the pilot berth a couple of years ago, and there's some left on the other side of the pilot berth that I need to get rid of as well, because I have another project coming up regarding that. But that's a project for later, because now we are going to work on the reinforcement for the bobstay, and I've got this backing plate that's going to sit in here and take up the forces from the rigging, and this thing is pretty big and pretty beefy, but it needs a nice platform here of fiberglass and epoxy to sit and compress against, and so I'm going to have to work on building that up. And for that reason I went to town on this area with the angle grinder and a flap disc, and I've ground away all of the paint and most of the top coat that was in there. So I'm going to start cleaning this out with acetone, and then I'm going to just sand down the last bits that I need to get cleaned up, and then we're going to cut out some pieces of glass that we need to start laminating this, and then I'm going to go whip up a batch of epoxy and we'll get going. Well, I've been laying up glass for 24 hours straight now, I think, and I've got maybe 1 or 2 batches left to do in there, and Then for the last little bit, I'll just squish the backing plate into place and let it take its final shape. But while I'm waiting for the latest batch to cure, I'm going to take the planks off of the bowsprit and cut them to their final length. I've marked out exactly where to cut them here. So I'll leave a little gap between the hull and the planks so the bowsprit can flex a little bit. And then I went and I got some polishing discs for my angle grinder, and I'm going to try my hand at polishing the stainless backing plate. And then in a little bit, Lena is coming down to help me get the Genoa track off, because last time it was raining, we noticed a fairly significant leak coming from that sort of area of the hull. And I think that it's the Genoa track that's leaking. So we're going to just take that off and rebed it. But first we're going to get these teak planks off and cut them to their final shape. Hey!
Hey.
Oh, what's this?
Milk.
Milk! Nice. Coffee! Oh my god. So while I was working on the teak planks, Lena was doing a spot of Magnus fishing to see if she could find anything interesting. And
I think I did.
yeah, she did. Okay, come on. Bring them up. Now, please don't drop them again. Oh.
And they're not even on magnets.
Oh my god. They're not even magnetic. And oh, those are my reading glasses that I dropped like a week ago. They look pristine. Oh, that's absolutely bonkers. I dropped these like just leaning over the side of the pier, and they fell off because I keep them here, which is really stupid. I should just put a loop on or something. But I thought they were gone forever. And she just caught them on the magnet, and they're not even magnetic. They just hung on there and just, well, that's today's catch.
And this.
Definitely. Oh yeah, and we found an old trawler lamp, which is really, oh god, that's horrible. Well, we're gonna head off to a beach and then come back here and do the Genoa tracks, I think. But yeah, thanks.
No problem.
Yeah. Oh god, that's amazing. Well, time and the weather kind of got away from us, and it's taken a few days to get everything ready inside the bow. But today we're getting ready to put on the last batch of epoxy on the reinforcement, and then we can put in the backing plate and let the epoxy kind of take the shape of the plate. And the teak planks are almost done. There's a little bit of detail work left to do, but they're pretty much ready to put on the bowsprit. And so I'm going to get down there, I'm going to sand down and prep the surface for that final batch of epoxy, and I'm going to polish that stainless plate to a mirror shine, and then we're going to put it in place. Well, I made up this really thick epoxy mix that I hope is going to be just about right to let the backing plate rest against, and once this cures, that'll leave a nice flat surface that just follows the shape of the plate perfectly. Lena's up there right now getting ready to put the bolts in from the outside, and we're going to cover them in petroleum jelly, which we'll use as a release agent so they won't stick to the epoxy won't stick to the bolts. And that way we can get them back out once the epoxy is cured. It's the idea, at least. I really hope that works the way I've intended it. I just lightly sanded the surface of this so we can cover it in petroleum jelly and get it like nice and flat. And here come the bolts, I think. And hopefully this will work as a release agent. I haven't tried this before, and from what I read, it should work. There they are. Okay, got it. All right. I'm just going to dip the nuts in petroleum jelly, really. Just get a lot of it on there. Yeah, it's like Lena said, the big issue is that you can't tell the petroleum jelly from the epoxy. So it's really hard to know where you've been adding it and not. But I figure more is better here. So I'm just gonna go egg with this and just cram on a real load of it onto both the washers and the nuts. And hopefully that's going to be enough. All right, now we just need to tighten this and then let it sit for a while, I think. It's getting a little bit late in the day, but we have been promised no rain for the next 12 to 20 hours. So I'm going to take this time to do the last bit of shaping on the teak planks, and then I'm going to fasten them down permanently and epoxy bungs into the holes. And that can cure over the next couple of days, and we can sand it down and do the finish work at the same time as we finish the bobstay. All that's really needed is to notch this out and get it in line with this plank, and then give the roller a little bit of space on this side, and then drill another hole in the stainless right here and fasten this plank in from underneath. I also need to cut out a little bit here to make room for the block that's going to hold the tack line for the Jenniker. Well, as usual, I'm a little bit too ambitious when it comes to planning things out, and turns out I'm losing the light faster than I was hoping. So I'm going to leave it at that for tonight. All of the screws are in, and I've made the adjustments to the planks that I think I need. So yeah, I'm going to just leave it until tomorrow, and I'll just walk around and get a feel for this for a few hours, and if I don't feel like I need to do any more adjustments, then I'll put the bungs in tomorrow, and then this will be done. And then we just need to wait for the bobstay attachment reinforcement to cure properly, and then we'll hopefully be able to dig that stainless plate out and do the last bit of fairing and put it back in, and yeah, then we can bend the sails back on. Really looking forward to going sailing again. All right, well, let's call it a night.
Yeah, so what do you think? Do you think I'll be able to get that plate back out? We'll find out in the next episode. If you've enjoyed this episode, please help us out by leaving a like. It really does make a big difference. And press subscribe and hit the notification bell to follow us on our journey. You can also follow us on social media. Check out the links below for that. And thank you so much for watching. Fair winds.